quite clear for a couple of years that there have been some ongoing issues with people parking in the shopping centre and possibly then moving, going to the city centre and just leaving the cars and commuting into town. We recognise that that's an issue, and we have a number of residents in the area, but also the shopper, responsibility for the shoppers. Nottingham City Homes is working with Nottingham City Council, who have oversight of the area, and we are in the position of, we're starting to look at now introducing a Ringo system. The report that's in here it demonstrates some of the proposed parking restrictions that will include. The Ringo system will be very similar to the one that's also at the other in the other areas within the Meadows estate. I think to be very clear that at this stage we haven't committed to this. We haven't worked out the finances around that. We've just brought it today just for note for area committee. These are our proposals. I'm very happy to take at the end of this. I've got a few bits more to say, but at the end of this I'm happy to take any questions or any comments specifically around this. I wasn't going to dwell too much on the detail of this because obviously we will come back to area committee once we have a final decision with finances set around that for area committee approval. That's okay.
So based on that, we've got any comments? Mike?
Well, we've wanted this for years, and I think the problem has been finding a solution that we can actually implement. And the idea that actually we can use Ringo, whereby there's an established, national organisation whereby people can register to park and register to pay a parking if they need it, I think is a really interesting idea, and actually offers us the opportunity to save some of our own capital that we would plan to spend on it, because it is that vital. Bridgeway Shopping Centre, we have aspirations for it. You'll hear in a report later on that there's going to be something like 400 apartments closer to Bridgeway Shopping Centre to be built in the next few years, subject to planning. It will be closer to the Bridgeway Shopping Centre than most of the people who live in the Meadows. And we have got to work very hard at making sure that they feel that their local shopping centre is Bridgeway Shopping Centre. But we have been getting complaints for quite a while, but in particular most recently with the Broadmarsh car park coming down, where people just decide to park there and go into town. So we need this change. So I'm really pleased it's arrived. I think there are some things to sort out. I think it's interesting that we want to charge £3. I would support that, even though it sounds like other areas £2, but it does sound like city centre people would easily pay £3. Well, it's easily pay £2, maybe £3 might be the threshold. But you know, I think that sense of a clear signal that this is for coming to use for shopping and not commuting needs to go out. I do think we've got to look at some of the detail. The hairdressers is tricky, and I think we'll only sort that out. Yeah. I have a conversation with them. I don't think it's that their appointments take 3 hours. It's more that sometimes they might have to wait before they can get their hair cut.
It never takes that long for me to have my hair. I appreciate that.
Well,
others may.
3.5 hours for me to get the right kind of grey, you know what I mean? But,
that's right, yeah.
So there's that. Up to now, the Meadows Medical Centre have been a bit gauche about this, and not really wanted to sufficiently engage, and I think that is going to have to change. You know, we certainly need to understand from both the practices there what their position is on what we're doing, and I think they might have to look at reworking the way they use their car park as well, because we've had complaints for a while now that people can't necessarily get a space to be dropped off. On the business permit, I think we need to look a bit more closely at what we're saying here. I might agree with free parking if it's to do with the viability of the business, but not if it's to support commuters. We're not the parking spaces to work for the viability of the business. So it's obvious, isn't it, the greengrocers, they need to load and unload. So the idea that parking permits wouldn't be in specific bays, I think we've got to check that one out. I mean, we need to protect the bays behind each of the businesses so that for the purposes of supporting that business, and that's what the focus needs to be. I'm pleased, of course, that we have got in this scheme the ability to ensure that the residents who live above the shops get permits. I think that's, I mean, it's plain common sense, but it's important to repeat it so people get that message.
Jane, do you want to say something?
Unfortunately, Councillor Edwards answered most of my questions. But nonetheless, they don't just go into town to park there all day.
Yeah.
I can't get to park when I go to the doctors or take somebody to the doctors.
Right.
I can't park in any of the car parks there because they're there all day. I'm pleased to see that something is being done, but why are we being charged £3 instead of 2, like most places?
So just to clear that the charge of £3 would be for those over 2 hours. So the first 2 hours would be free, and then so the higher fee would be to try and deter the people that are then going to. Because what we don't want to do is make it actually worth somebody's while to pay £2 because that's still cheaper than what would be in the city centre. So it's the comparison between what people are paying to park in the city centre rather than what they're paying at Bridgeway.
Regarding the doctor's surgery, can there be days specifically written out for ambulance and patients visiting the medical centre?
To be very clear, the car park that's at the rear of the medical centre that belongs to the medical centre and is not included within this. I think what Councillor Edwards was alluding to, forgive me for speaking for Councillor Edwards, but I think what he's alluding to is whether or not what is now technically, I think, their staff car park, we may need to look at having a conversation with them whether or not they're then prepared to turn some of those staff spaces into for their clients or for an ambulance bay. We're still at the consultation stage. We're still having those discussions with people in the area. So this isn't a final draft. This is just an update on an ongoing process.
Thank you.
Raj.
I've got to express an expression of interest here that I'm a trustee of Nottingham Elders Forum who has opposed Ringo schemes because of the lack of impact assessments that are on people with disabilities. I take as an example the embankment scheme, which is a Ringo scheme. The bays there for disabled parking say that the signs override the Disability Act, that you do need to register for Ringo, even though it's a disability parking area. It's not a free disability parking area, and I oppose the fact that disability parking people are included in this. And again, with older people generally do not have mobile phones and emails, and this is a requirement of the Ringo system. That again, I oppose it on those grounds, on the impact of the disabled and the elderly people.
I happen to be the chairperson for Bridgeway Practice, PPG. Now what we have in a lot of people are misunderstand the Mental Health Centre, there's 2 practices. When anything like requests are sent, they've been sent to the other one, we never hear about it. So this thing that has just happened, about request for parking spaces, I've been on the PPG for 2 years and never had any correspondence coming to us. So if I can leave my my address, I will take this on to talk to the PPG about helping out with the parking. It's the first I've heard of it. And I thought I would mention it.
Well, I better answer that one, because I made a statement on that. I mean, I've been to see the reception about what do we do about car parking to support car parking area. So, I mean, I've done that provisional thing. Doesn't replace a proper consultation. I would ask people to take a step back on the elderly and disabled situation. We're in a situation where people often complain that they've not been able to drop off people in need at the medical centre because of the existing arrangement. So let's start off by saying if we put this in, we have an opportunity to clear that issue up straight off. And I hope any equality assessment impact takes an understanding of what it is to make the priority the spaces available for people who need to use the shops and the medical centre. And that's a big factor.
Yeah. Can I just say, though, you're in the consultation stages on this, aren't you?
Yeah, very early
And
stages of
I think
consultation.
from what I'm hearing here at this moment in time, you're going to have to do a really good
Yeah.
consultation process.
Okay.
To get involved.
But this is a serious, significant problem we've had in the Meadows for a long time, and we've been talking on a number of levels about this for a long time. Finally, and I'm grateful, we've got a way forward and a chance to get something done.
I don't disagree, Mike. I just think that there's a lot of emotions around here, and I think the consultation period will pick that up.
Please be very clear that we're at the very early stages,
Yeah.
so this isn't, there's no...
First is that I'm totally with the need to take a grip of parking in the area. Secondly is I can't actually see that charging £3 for a day is going to stop all day parkers. When you've got the 2-hour free, if I were going to London by train, 3 hours and quite a short walk to the station is peanuts, frankly. And once it's over 2 hours, it's clearly not shopping. It's not difficult to have a special arrangement with hairdressers where people can display, ultimately, if it takes me, of course, anyway. But equally, you know, or perhaps a fraction longer than 2 hours, but £3 a day won't stop all-day parkers. And my third comment goes with our colleague over there. Ringo to me is anathema. To have to book into something, to have to use a mobile phone to pay, to have to register before I leave home that I'm going to go and park somewhere. It's just not the sort of life I live. You know, I can get all I need at Foss Park rather than going into there if necessary.
Well, what I'm going to suggest, I'm not taking any more questions on this because we're in the very early stages of consultation.